Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am here again for another lunch with Libby. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to join in. Say hello if you're here, so I know that there's somebody watching and chatting with me. And if you're watching on replay, welcome. This is you know, keeping it on the down low a little on these lives, but next week I may start getting the word out a little more. I needed a little time to get warmed up to the idea. So this week we're playing with the new stencil release at MFT. And so again, today I'm going to do a fun stencil card. We've done lives the last 2 days showing some ideas with the stencils, and Tuesday I did the overview of the new stencil release. So I think you guys are loving the stencils, and I hinted at this yesterday. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more of a mixed media card today, showing you some fun mixed media techniques. So I love doing this kind of thing, and I'm gonna show how it's a good background to use with some of your card projects. All right, so without any further ado, let's see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go to my overhead camera. Hi, Brianne. Hello, my friend. So these are the cards that we've made so far this week. On Wednesday, we did a build a stencil. No, a build a balloon, and yesterday we did build a beach. And so today, I thought I would play with this real super duper fun stencil, which is called, I want to make sure I get the name right, Rustic Brick Wall. So we're going to work with the Rustic Brick Wall. It's this really fun and funky brick wall. I absolutely adore it. I think it's so cool. And I'm going to do some techniques on this that I'm going to use paste basically. I'm going to use glitter paste on this. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use a heavier cardstock today. I was using just regular white cardstock the last couple days, but I grabbed a piece of the distress watercolor paper for this one, just because it's a little bit heavier and I can take the paste maybe a little easier. Not that you can't use paste on regular cardstock, but you'll see. I'm gonna go in and do some things, and it can get a little warpy. So I thought I'd just go ahead and use a heavier cardstock today. And again, I'm going to use the Rustic Brick Wall stencil. Mine's a little dirty because I've already been playing with it, but that's okay. It works. My sound is cutting out. Maybe we're having Wi-Fi issues today. I'm not sure. That's very unfortunate. I don't know that I can do anything about it. So hopefully on the replay it'll be better because that does sometimes happen. But yeah, I don't know. Something is wrong with my audio. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Let's see. What could it be? I think it's probably that our Wi-Fi is cooperating today. And hello, Peggy and Maggie. Is it still messed up? Can you guys hear me any better now than you could before? I'm going to keep talking and just let me know how it's sounding. Technology is frustrating when it isn't working how we want. So I don't know what else to do about that at the moment. Brianna is saying yes. So hopefully that means it's doing better. I did turn around for a second while I was talking. I wonder if that's when it cut in and out because I turned away from the microphone. I'm not sure. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with this technique today. It's Friday. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. I'm sure you have fun things to do this weekend. Do you guys have any? Still choppy a bit. Oh, gosh. Well, darn. Hopefully by next week I'll get something figured out a little better and we won't have these issues. But this is the first time I've had choppy audio in quite a while. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just take some tape and put it on the back of my stencil. This is how I like to hold my stencils to the cardstock so that I don't pull off any of my cardstock when I remove it. If it pulls anything, it's on the back. And I just have my stencil there. Oh, Bria's gonna watch me outside in the garden. That sounds really nice. Really, really nice. And what I'm gonna work with today, first I'm gonna do some ink blending on this stencil, and I'm gonna take a brick wall type of color, which is wild cherry. I thought it looked kind of brick wall-like, so we'll use this to do some ink blending through our stencil. And I have, yeah, here's a blending brush that I just using red with, so it's a good one to use with this ink. Let's see, I have a little Post-it here that I was tapping off on. All right, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just blend some ink through the stencil. It goes on so nice and easily. My stencil's lifting a little, so we'll see how this goes, but this is a fun mixed media type of technique, so I'm not worried about perfection by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, imperfections are totally okay. They're kind of my jam when it comes to this kind of stuff. Alright, so I kind of went not a smooth, even blend, I wanted it to be kind of, not uniform, I want it to have some character, to be some lighter and darker spots, and as a matter of fact, I think I'm even gonna go in with a brown as well. So this one's wild cherry. I think I'm also gonna take vintage timber and do a little blending as well. I'm using my ink stand to hold my inks, which I love. On the edges, just to give it a little more, dimension, with your blending. Okay. So this would be great as is. I'm gonna try to sort of peel this back, but I wanna keep my stencil on there because I'm gonna be adding some paste. Yeah, the ink stand loves me too, yay. Brienne, of course, is the owner of the company, the inkstand, and her husband. So you can see that this is great just as is. If I wanted a inked up background, it's good to go. I can do all kinds of things with this. It's wonderful. But since we talked about doing a little mixed media yesterday, I'm gonna go ahead and do some other fun things with this. So you could use any oh, look at how inky fingers for the win. Yay. You could do all kinds of different pastes or, texture paste and puffing paste, whatever you like to use for this. But I have this lunar paste that is a really fun brick wall type of color. It's a bee sting is what it's called, and I just found this behind me in my stash of pastes, and I'm gonna take that along with a palette knife, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of it here and there on my I should have some wipes ready to go for this when I'm done. I really should tape it down a little I tape it down just a little better because I don't want it getting under and it's lifting just a little. So I'm gonna put right, there we go. That's gonna keep it down a little bit better. Alright, and now again, I don't wanna cover all this with the paste. I'm just gonna put some here and there and everywhere. So no rhyme or reason to it. Add some here and there. Whatever I think will be fun. Okay, that's it. I'm just adding a little bit of paste on my background. Lift up my stencil. I'm gonna do a little more to it, but first I want to wipe this off because I don't want the paste to dry on my stencil. It's probably gonna be Alright, and I'm gonna wipe off my palette knife real quick. And, one thing I like to do actually when I clean a stencil like this, I think I'm gonna grab a little piece of cardstock to put behind it, and I'm just gonna show you when you're wiping this off with a wipe I could also do this under my sink, but I don't wanna leave you during my live. You put it on a piece of paper, and when you wipe it, it can go onto your paper, and then you have another little funky background to use. So I always love to not waste my mediums, and so that's one thing I like to do when I'm cleaning up, is just put it onto a piece of paper, and look at how awesome that is. So that's another funky background that you can use for something else. So put that aside and come back to that again another time. And if you just popped in, I just went right I got going quick. So this will be a quick little live, and you can always watch it on replay if you wanna see what I've done so far. I'm using lunar paste today. What did I say it was called? Bee sting, I think, is the color. It's a nice brick type of color, and I'm using the rustic brick wall stencil. And I will another thing I wanna point out is when you get some ink down into the lettering, the stitching at the bottom of your stencils, It makes it easier to read. So a lot of times I'll take a black ink pad and just rub it on there and then wipe it off, and it won't transfer to what you're working on, but it will make it easier to read what the name of the stencil is, which I enjoy because my eyesight can't see it otherwise very well. Very inky fingers going on. All right, then I'm gonna take if I still have it here, what did I do with it? I wanted just a piece of scrap paper, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna take off this tape. Just removing my tape from this. The lunar paste is still wet. I haven't worked with it a whole lot, so I can't even actually tell you how quickly it dries, but it is still a bit wet. I'm gonna take some embossing powder now. So this is just my white embossing powder. And with my fingers, I'm just gonna take some of it, a little pinch of it, and just drop it down onto my lunar paste because that powder will stick to that wet lunar paste. And I think having the white embossing powder on there gives it kind of the look of a brick. Sometimes you got a little wet in your bricks, right? And this is a fun technique that you can, it doesn't have to be with a brick wall. It's just a fun thing to do to sprinkle some embossing powder on your pastes when you're doing things like this, doing some of cards, and it just gives it a really cool look. Here's where we're at. We have a little bit of white embossing powder down on our lunar paste, but it's not melted yet, right? It's just sitting on there as powder. Now I'm gonna take my heat tool and I'm gonna heat this entire thing. And it's gonna bubble up and add some really fun texture, and I'm okay with that. The bubbling is what I'm going for with this. Yep, Brienne says she doesn't even here, I'll just put it up so you guys can see. She doesn't even use embossing or she doesn't even use paste anymore without adding embossing powder because it's so much fun. I agree completely. Once you start doing it, you just have to always do it, right? So I'm gonna heat up my tool here, and I apologize for the noise. There it goes, it's starting to bubble. All right, guys. So you can see what we have here now. My panel's still warped a little bit, but that's okay. I can glue it down to make it flat, but you can see all that fun powder on my lunar paste. And I actually went maybe a little heavy-handed with it. You can see kind of more powder than lunar paste sometimes, but you can see what a fun look that is. Now I could go ahead, if I didn't like all the white, the stark white around it, I could take my same brush and just go in and add a little bit more of this. And I actually is even adding ink on top of the glossy a little bit, although if I wipe it off, it might come right off, I'm not sure. But, you can do that if you wanted to have more of a darker look around that vintage timber. And then I could still die cut this panel like I would any other thing I'm working on. And you can do this with all kinds of stencils. It doesn't have to be a brick wall. It's just an example of one way to do it. So look at this funky fun background I made, and of course I had my 2 for 1 where when I was cleaning, I got another brick wall as well, which has a totally different look to it, and I think it look really fun with some of my products, my stamps, my cute little colored images. All right, so I did do one earlier. I'm gonna just show you that real quick because I took this one and I die cut it with the stitched rectangle, and I didn't do quite as much brown around the edges of this one, but you can see how that is just a fun panel that I could now turn into a card. I was thinking of putting flowers or butterflies on top of the panel of bricks. But another thing that I think would be really fun is just taking some of the colored images and using this as a backdrop. And I have some here on my desk that I've colored, over time, and I was looking through them. And I think it's like this cute little, let's see, I like this little guy. You put the little superhero and the little guy down on my card, and then that just makes a cute little background for your card. So that is Hey guys, I think I'm just gonna, finish this card off mine. Wow, that was a quick little live, but, I just wanted to show you a fun mixed media technique, and, I hope my sound wasn't terrible the whole time and that you guys might try something like this of doing some paste through a stencil and adding embossing powder and thinking outside the box a little sometimes and doing some mixed media, into your cards. Even when you're doing the cute colored images, I think they go together really great. All right, so that is it. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and I will see you again next week. All right, take care.